I think one of the most infuriating things in a relationship is when the person you're in the relationship with will not take their responsibility for what they do. When you are with someone who constantly shirks taking responsibility or blames others or finds excuses for why they don't do what they're supposed to do, it's infuriating. Like, you don't know what to do. And sometimes it can turn into almost a passive aggressive form of rebelling if you're not careful. I think when you work with a partner or you're with a partner who you've noticed is not good at or able to take responsibility for themselves, you start getting really resentful. You start forming these accusations. And although I understand why you do that, it's probably not going to help the relationship. And if this is someone you want to salvage a relationship with, then you're going to need to understand it more, and you're going to need to find ways to cope with it. So the first thing I'm going to tell you with communication, it's important that you start using I statements. If you start projecting blame or saying, oh my God, you never take responsibility, or what's wrong with you? You act like a little kid when it comes to stepping up and taking responsibility, you're going to make that person more defensive, dig in their heels more, and nothing's going to change. In fact, it might get worse. Secondly, you want to check yourself. Are you codependent? Many people are codependent, and what they end up doing is they take responsibility for the partner who's not taking responsibility for themselves. And if you're dating this person, it's relatively new, check to see if you're the codependent one first, enabling this type of behavior. And if not, look and talk to them about their past possible enablers. Maybe a mom or a dad were enablers. Maybe an old boyfriend or girlfriend were enablers. Most of the time, when someone is consistently not taking responsibility for themselves, there have been enablers in that person's life. And whether they had the diagnosis of codependency where they took care of everything anyway because they were afraid of losing the person, or whatever it was, you will see this pattern where they just don't do anything. I've seen it a lot with parents who have been hoovering parents or too much on their child. When that child grows up to be an adult, they look for basically someone to take care of them, for someone to clean up their messes, take responsibility for them. And if you're in a relationship with this person who's looking for a mom or a dad or a sister or brother, somebody who always cleaned up their messes, believe me, that's going to be hard for you to do, to take care of. The next thing I want you to do is know that this can be a really difficult relationship. And if it's going to go further, then they have to be motivated to change, or you may say, no, this is a deal breaker. I'm not going to be in a relationship with someone who can't take care of themselves, who isn't willing to step up and take responsibility and suffer the consequences of their actions. If they're always looking for a scapegoat, count me out. I'm not going to be in it. Outside of those things, I do have some tips that I think are going to help you if you practice them. And what's important with these tips is not that you hear me say them and you go, yeah, okay, but that you actually do the work and put them into a skill set where you're practicing. The first one, communicate calmly. I think the most important thing is you tell them up front, listen, I can't live like this. Like, I don't know what happened to you. We need to talk about it, but we can't continue this. This isn't bringing out the best version of you. It's not bringing out the best version in me. All I want from you and from myself is when we do a behavior that is harmful to the other person or to the relationship or anything, we fess up to it. That is not too much to ask. That's a good expectation for couples. It's good for a healthy relationship. Secondly, avoid blaming. Anytime you blame your partner, you are mentoring that this is how we get out of something. The more you blame them, the the more you're going to shut them down. And they're going to get defensive, and nothing is going to change. In fact, as I told you earlier, it's going to get worse. Number 3, provide examples. Tell them, be able to recite times when you notice they didn't step up, they didn't take responsibility. Sometimes people are unclear about that, or if they've avoided it all the time, they may even find that it's a habit. What we do is we just avoid any blame. If you're able to recite the times without judgment, but say these are perfect, clear examples of when you did not step up, then surely they are going to have to deal with that, because nobody's lying now. Nobody's thinking one thing and seeing another. This is very clear evidence. Number 4, set clear boundaries. Make it your mission that, okay, let's give this 3 months. Let's work on this for 3 months, and then we'll troubleshoot. At the end of 3 months, we'll kind of see where we are. Is it getting better? You need to set a boundary to protect you. This is part of your self-care. You're not being mean. You're not being impossible. You're not having unrealistic expectations. If this person wants you, then this person has to be motivated to make changes for a relationship they want. The next one, encourage self-reflection. Ask them to just reflect on it. Say what you have to say, and then ask them, I just want you to think about this. Like, maybe it's something in your past that's limiting your life. I'm not doing this just so, to fix our relationship. I'm doing this to better you as a person in the future. Like, things might not work out with us, but surely you'll want a relationship someday where you can be a functional partner and perhaps a functional parent. And you can't be if you're always looking for somebody else to blame for your inability to take responsibility and make changes in your behavior. Offer support. Sometimes what you need to do is say, God, I'm sorry, whoever did this to you really limited you. But also offer encouragement. You don't need to continue this. A lot of people get stuck in ruts and they're like, I'm broken, I give up. Well, that's not an adult or mature way to handle something. If you're broken, or something you were doing can get fixed by you making a conscious effort to fix it, then you should fix it. And basically that's part of that taking responsibility. I would say at this point, with support and encouragement, if you can see that the person's playing this victim card or defeated card, I would say, okay, that's a deal breaker. You are not ready to change for this relationship. And because I'm invested in this relationship, I am going to let it go. That would be my deal breaker. I would look at that part of it as just saying, okay, I can see. Because when someone is motivated by, or someone wants a relationship, they are motivated by it, and they will make changes if they really want it to work. Lead by example. Talk to them. At times when you screw up, say, man, I really screwed that up. I'm going to try and resolve that, but I am sorry that it had to affect you this way. It was my bad, and I'm going to make it better. And seek couples therapy. If your partner if this is someone that you've already decided, you know what, this relationship is not going to work, go to therapy by yourself. Why do I say that? Because you may be attracting people that need enabling. Maybe at heart, you are an enabler. And so what ends up happening, if you have that codependent tendency, it's important that you get a look at that now so you can make changes. Because the last thing you want to do is, if you let go of a partner who is irresponsible or won't take responsibility for themselves, the last thing you want is to attract another one. So the therapy is an integral part of all this.